What's up, everybody? All right, so I kind of promised a bit of a running clinic here. Not so much a full running clinic, but I'm thinking about doing this in parts. So tonight's focus will be more on the breathing side of running. And I know a lot of us have been forced to run outside. If you have a treadmill at home, great. But even so, I know that a lot of us get bored on the treadmill. So this running clinic is going to be more on how to breathe, whether it be outside or inside, when you're running longer distances. So I know that me personally, we have teams going for the Orange Theory here in San Antonio to do a marathon. We're going to do a bit of a marathon challenge later this month. So the breathing is going to be huge when it comes down to those longer distances for you guys. So as I explain things, if you have any questions, feel free to just jump on. Let me know what you're wondering, what you need, what information you need. And I'll be sure to, answer that as we go through. But first thing I want to bring to mind is the type of breathing that's going to be really important for long distance running, which is belly breathing. And if you've never heard of that, it's the idea of not using your shoulders and your rib cage to pull the oxygen in, but rather the belly. So the diaphragm has to actually flex to pull the oxygen down into the lungs. If you've never done it before, there's an exercise you can do, and I'll post the exercise here after this video. Lay on your back. And the idea is you want to start to create that mind-body connection to where your belly rises and falls as you take in your deep breaths. Try to focus on letting the belly rise as you pull the breath in, and then as you exhale, the belly sort of depresses and goes down into that normal position. It takes a second to understand. It takes a second to sort of figure out what your body's doing there if it's not something that you're already familiar with. So give yourself some time, have patience with it, and focus on that. Now, once you get it down, it's all about practicing that, because if you can't do it down on the ground without running, it's not going to be something that your body wants to do naturally as you're out running and exerting all kinds of energy. So definitely practice that. It might be something that you practice every day for a week, 2 weeks, until one day it just makes sense. So that's the first thing, the belly breathing. And again, I'll post a video of sort of myself doing it. That way you have a visual aid. The second thing is the breathing cadence, which is that post I posted a second ago. The cadence can be timed two different ways. The first way that I'm familiar with, that I use personally, is every step. So people have different ways of counting their steps. For example, it might take me 3 steps to breathe in, and then, 5 steps to breathe out, or 2 steps to breathe in and 3 steps to breathe out. Everybody has a different cadence. It's just you and your comfort. But the idea, the homework that I'm going to give you guys tonight is tomorrow when you go for your run, or the next day whenever you have your next run, start to time yourself. Turn your music down, like Coach Vic said. Turn your music down and try to listen to your breathing. Pay attention to how many steps it takes to inhale, and then how many steps it takes to exhale. Once you have that cadence and something that is consistent, then focus on keeping that cadence for as long as possible. Again, turn your music down, do whatever it takes to get that cadence down to where it's just second nature and you don't have to think about it anymore. And before you know it, you become a more efficient runner because the breathing is down. After that, it's just taking your mind away. Finding your cadence is important. Some people are a little erratic. Some people they don't have a consistent cadence there. So the idea for you guys is to start off somewhere even and sort of play with your numbers. So let's say you want to start with an even cadence count, and you do 4 steps takes to inhale and 4 steps it takes to exhale. Maybe that's where you start. And then you realize that 4 counts is too long an exhale and feel like you're forcing that breath out. So then maybe you cut it down to 3 steps, and then maybe that feels a little bit more natural. Maybe you take it down to 2, so on and so forth. Your breathing in also is important, because if you take 4 steps to breathe in, it's a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. It might feel like you're overexerting yourself there. So Again, find that sweet spot and then try to hold it consistently. The other way to do it is just what I did a second ago, which is the timed way. So not counting your steps necessarily, but literally seconds. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi in, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi out. Doing things like that might be a little bit more natural for you, might feel a little bit better for you. And again, once you find that sweet spot, that comfort, then it's all about holding it consistent through the rest of your run. On the post that I did about an hour or two ago, some people were talking about how it takes them a while to get warm, and then their breathing isn't really down packed until they get into their first mile, their second mile. And that's fine. Everybody's a little bit different. I know that my body doesn't really warm up until I get past mile number 1. Once I get past mile number 1, then my body sort of relaxes and it sort of settles into its comfort, and then I go from there. So if you're one of those people that just knows that you're sort of sporadic, erratic during your first mile, then don't count your cadence in that first mile. Get your body warm and then start to figure out what your cadence is, because otherwise it's just going to be all over the place. What else? The cadence is going to be important for now. I think tomorrow or maybe even the next day we'll do sort of a running clinic part 2. But yeah, first things first, like I said, if you're just jumping on, we're going to do the belly breathing exercise. I'll post that after this onto my page. And then tomorrow or the next day when you go for your next run, try to figure out your cadence, whether you time it for steps, 3 steps out, 3 steps in, or what have you, or you do it for time. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi out, things like that. So I'm going to look through this little feed here. Let's see if there's any questions. You guys have anything for me? Not really second nature for a lot of us. Some of us are trying to figure out what's going on, and believe me, right now allergies are kicking everyone's butt. So if you can't breathe because of allergies, you can count your cadence all day long. It's allergies, it's going to kick your butt. Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the technique on your breathing, as far as in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's sort of something that you want to start with. So breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth is sort of a way to train your body to get into that rhythm. So you create that circular motion in through the nose, out through the mouth, so on and so forth. Once you get that down, you want to transition more into sort of open mouth breathing is what we call it, where you have that mouth propped open and you're breathing in through both and breathing out through both. Everybody's a little different. I know that that's the one that works for me. Open mouth breathing. A lot of people think it's funny because you're mouth breathing, but the idea is once you have the rhythm down for in through the nose, out through the mouth, your body just becomes more fluent at pulling in the oxygen that it needs and then exhaling that oxygen. So a lot of us are doing short breath. That's why you want to breathe in through the nose, bigger, deep breaths, and then out through the mouth, letting out all of that oxygen, and then in, and you're breathing it out. Getting that oxygen to the muscles and to the lungs is going to allow you to run further, to run more efficiently, and not to feel like you're dying on these runs. So again, 3 things: belly breathing, using that diaphragm to pull the oxygen in through the nose, out through the mouth. And once you have that down, do that open mouth breathing and sort of get your rhythm down. And then last but not least, finding your cadence. That's your homework for you guys that are having trouble right now breathing. Longer distances are longer distances. You're going to get that stitch in your side once your body starts to get tired. But if you can start to pull more oxygen in as you work, it's just going to get easier and easier to go further and further. Any questions, guys? There's a lot of us jumping on here, and I love it. I got a great response. And like I said, I want to do multiple portions of this running clinic style. Today will just be that breathing part. We'll go over cadence later. We'll go over foot strike later. If you guys have any questions whatsoever already, you let me know for sure. I'd be glad to go over anything and everything running. If you guys don't know about me, I just ran my first marathon last December. My first one. I loved it. I only had to stop a few times, but it was my first one, and like mile 18 has kicked my butt. After that, I sort of got into my rhythm and I was all right. But I love running. I've done Spartan races. I've done long distance races, half marathons. Again, my first marathon last year. But I've always been a sort of an athlete, and breathing, without that, I don't know if I would have ever enjoyed running as much as I do now. So if you guys have questions, I'm here for you. If you need anything else, feel free to reach out at any point in time. And again, I'm going to post that video here in a second about the belly breathing. Otherwise, you guys let me know what you need. Love you.